Turning our attention to Bangladesh now, the country is heading to polls on the 7th of January. That's in less than 3 weeks from now. The results are a foregone conclusion. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is set to win her 4th straight term in office. But the mood in her camp is hardly celebratory, given that her country is mired in violence. Yesterday, a train was set on fire. 4 people died, including a mother and her child. It was an express train on its way to the capital Dhaka, packed with passengers. Around 5 a.m., some of them noticed flames. They raised an alarm. The train was stopped. Firefighting units were mobilized, but by the time they reached there, 3 compartments were burnt. As the news spread, so did speculation. It was being called a case of arson. And now Bangladesh's railway minister has confirmed it. He has blamed the BNP for it. That's the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP. It is the country's main opposition party. The railway minister says BNP protesters set this train on fire. They've been protesting for weeks now, and the protests have been violent. Since October, we've seen buses being set on fire and vehicles damaged. Clashes between protesters and the police. At least 6 people have lost their lives. Just this morning, 2 buses were set on fire in Dhaka. So the situation is serious. And who is to blame for this? The government says it is the opposition, perpetrating violence in the name of anti-government protest. And what does the opposition say? They've rejected all charges of arson and sabotage. They're also boycotting the election.
I believe about the January 7th polls is that people will boycott it. They won't go to cast their votes. BNP is already out of this farcical poll. Also, people will align with the BNP boycotting this election.
The government keeps saying that BNP went into hibernation. We have not. Today is proof of that. Our grassroots have come out on the streets. We will kick out this government onto the streets.
Bangladesh is a multi-party system, but there are only 2 parties that really matter: Sheikh Hasina's Awami League and Khaleda Zia's Bangladesh Nationalist Party. The country got independence in 1971, and since then, these 2 parties have held power alternately. But things changed in 2009. That's when Sheikh Hasina's Awami League returned to power. That's also when the caretaker system was abolished by an order of the Supreme Court. Under the system, the ruling party had to leave office before an election. A caretaker government would take charge and oversee the election. This was meant to ensure that the vote is free and fair. But the caretaker overstayed its mandate, and in 2009, this practice was scrapped. The next 2 elections were held under the Hasina administration, and the BNP had a problem with that. In 2014, they boycotted the election. The Awami League won unchallenged. In 2019, the BNP decided to contest, but the Awami League won again, this time with a thumping majority. Which brings us to the next election in 2024. The BNP has decided to boycott the polls again. They're protesting. There are nationwide strikes, transportation blockades, and violence like what we saw today. Many of these protesters / rioters / opposition leaders have been put behind bars. Western agencies have condemned this. Western governments have criticized Dhaka. The US has even been accused of meddling in the election. There was a pushback from Sheikh Hasina. But this week, she's made a concession. The Awami League has offered a seat-sharing agreement with the Jatiya Party, arguably the 3rd largest party in Bangladesh. The Awami League is accommodating them by giving up 26 seats, 26 out of a total of 300 seats. The Awami League will not contest on these 26 seats, so the Jatiya Party is most likely going to win them. 6 more seats have been left for a 14-party alliance. The idea is to get more players to contest, to make it look like a real election. But the biggest opposition player, the BNP, remains defiant. They want Sheikh Hasina to step down, and they've chosen violence and arson to make that point.